Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash. This is Ash Quest, and today I am going to address the fact that there are probably two different camps of people, mainly who watch the channel, while it is no insignificant amount of outliers or people who don't fall into these two groups. You're all appreciated, by the way. The first major camp is going to be people who have been around for quite a while and who have gotten into a particular dungeon crawling board game, one of the greatest of all time, and who have been looking for ways to supplement this game for years, possibly decades, and who have been doing it probably for longer than I've been aware of the game's existence. Let's travel back in time. 28 years ago, I was 29 years. And even back then, I was raiding local thrift stores in order to find sized, appropriate monsters, such as the ones from MUSCLE and any pewter figurines. And I say pewter because a lot of places would carry not necessarily D&D, not necessarily Warhammer, just pewter miniatures. And I was like, I always have to keep an eye out for these. I gotta buy this stuff and use it with my game stuff, if possible. And Mighty Max, absolutely. And all this other stuff that I was just super excited to get home and unpack and make new levels on my board and with the Jenga blocks and stuff and play games with my brother. It's one of my favorite memories, and it's something that I'll maybe bring up often enough on the channel that some of you have heard that before. But anyways, one of these games, which provides a significant amount of content in the form of a board, is something that a lot of you old school gamers will definitely remember. The newer people who are into the newer edition, or perhaps newer people who are introduced to the game through the newer edition and have found their way to the classic edition and maybe have decided that they really, really like the aesthetics and the theme and the setting and everything of the old edition, will no doubt also be looking for older games to appropriately match the setting and the aesthetic of said classic edition. So, like, Ash, why are you at this angle? I'm not going to address the angle. You'll have to guess why I'm doing this. And if you're doing that, then you've likely stumbled upon a select few games that work really, really well. And so to that end, to the old school gamers, I have a confirmation, at least those of you who don't know, because the vast majority of you already know. This is more of a fan service video than anything else. You already know the answer to this question. Today, we're going to look at a board game that's from way back yonder. And this company, it might be mentioned in the holy texts. It is TSR, one of the oldest relics of our time. And TSR produced some really, really cool stuff. As far as I can tell, they were a really awesome company. And honestly, I haven't seen anything from them, whether it's text or art or a gameplay system, that didn't fascinate me in some way. There was a vision back then, and TSR knew what they were doing. They were killing it, so to speak. That's a good turn of phrase, by the way, for now. So we'll just flip this camera over, and you'll be able to see what it is that we're doing. So now that's my ceiling. So we're just gonna flip you over. Go ahead, flip. You, the viewer, do a backflip right now. Oh dear. Are you okay? I didn't tell you to do that. I meant land on your feet. You do it properly, correctly. Let me help you. This is Dungeons & Dragons Dragon Quest game, the introduction to adventure games, real adventures for real heroes. I swear this is an ad campaign for the Navy. This game was published in 1992. That's back when we had to fight pterodactyls on our way to work, and was made by TSR. And I don't know what other companies were as immersed in the fantasy, sword and sorcery gaming scene as TSR, but they had the vision nailed down. They were nothing short of excellent when it came to presentation, when it came to art on every aspect. The art direction on everything they touched was awesome. And maybe that's just my subjective opinion, but I will say that you'd be hard-pressed to find another company that was as committed to giving you such high-quality, immersive art and presentation for their games at the time, except Games Workshop. I'm saying companies besides Games Workshop. Yes, I know. Les Edwards, the cover of the HeroQuest box, finest piece of art ever made. I got it. But that's Milton Bradley, and we can say that Milton Bradley was branching out across all kinds of stuff. And maybe Games Workshop even wins in the comparison. And obviously they're still around these days where TSR isn't, sadly, but TSR definitely nailed the vision. So what do you get with Dragon Quest, the game? Well, this is the special edition, and it did come with 6 free metal figures by Ral Partha, which is a $7.20 retail value, something that I've been trying to tell eBayers who are selling these figures for years, and they just won't listen. They want to charge me like 10 times the amount. This wonderfully sized box, which will fit just about anywhere, is something that you've probably come across if you are an old school HeroQuest player because of its board. So we will unbox this today and look at its board, and we will see what else it comes with. And I just wanted to give a tremendous shout out of appreciation and a salute to the author of the rulebook and the adventure book. This is, again, a beautiful presentation of art here. I love these images, but if you look at the names, we've got William W. Connors and David Wise. Now, I follow William Connors on social media, and he is still really cool. He still posts awesome stuff, has still got very interesting old school gaming tidbits to share, shouts out new creators, new board games, still active. And for those of you who don't know this bit of trivia yet, is married to Catherine L. Connors, the author of the Mage of the Mirror HeroQuest expansion. Anyways, the rulebook and the adventure book, which we will take a bit of a deeper look into throughout this video. We've got the 1992 Fall and Winter catalog from TSR, and these are one of my favorite things to encounter in a board game because, yeah, you're going to get miniatures, you're going to get the board, you're going to whatever. The catalog gives you a snapshot of the actual history at the time the game was created, published, put to shelves. Like, what else was going on with TSR? You can't get this from the other elements in this box. First and foremost, the Dragon Quest game, and of course we know Dragon Quest is a name of some contention because Dragon Quest was the name given to a video game RPG franchise from Japan. They had to change the name of that game to Dragon Warrior when it came to our shores because of Dragon Quest being a Dungeons & Dragons trademark. But when that lapsed, the Dragon Warrior owners were able to reclaim it, and now you get the Dragon Quest video game. So yeah, and just in case there was any confusion, and I wouldn't think that there would be any, but you could see how it's definitely very potentially confusing. This Dragon Quest has nothing to do with the video game series of Dragon Quest, which is up to its hopefully 12th entry pretty soon. They've been teasing Dragon Quest 12 for some time now. Big Dragon Quest fan here, by the way. But let's move on to the second page. We've got Dungeons & Dragons, the game. Probably there are people who have some very fond memories of the specific box edition. Here we have The Tainted Sword, the first ever D&D novel packed with action and excitement. I didn't know that that was the first novel. And look, it's already a trilogy. I can't read that. The Fenthaliagan trilogy? The Fentanyl trilogy? The Friendly Lion trilogy? The Haunted Tower Adventure Pack. Zombies, ghosts, and vampires survive a night of fright. Yeah, we have a lot of classic modules here. Millennium Scepter, Hollow World, Sword and Shield, Character and Monster Assortment Pack, Wrath of the Immortals, Night Howlers, The Poor Wizard's Almanac. Love that. Then we have a series of Dark Sun World modules, the Amber Enchantress, the Asticlian Gambit, the Shattered Lands computer game. I would have been all about that. Let's see, 92. I didn't have a computer yet. And the one that I ended up getting probably wouldn't have been able to run that to begin with, but it still would have been really cool to see. Ravenloft, Gothic Horror Adventures, Thoughts of Darkness, Heart of Midnight, the Al-Qadim campaign. Oh, we didn't even have enough Ravenloft to fill a whole page. Come on, TSR, get with it. We've got the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons game as well. Then we have Forgotten Realms Adventures, Eye of the Beholder 2, The Legend of Dark Moon computer game, Treasures of the Savage Frontier computer game, The Dark Queen of Kryn for computer. And then we have the Dragonlance Saga, the Spelljammer campaign, the Greyhawk campaign setting, the Marvel Superheroes games, Gamma World, the TSR books and magazines, a snapshot, a relic. I love it. By permission of TSR, this page may be reproduced for personal use only. This is kind of the reason that we have the game. A lot of us bought this, or maybe we're lucky enough to just find the single board for a decent enough price. I actually got a copy of the game so that I could look at the game, maybe play the game. And I bought a board separately that somebody was selling just by itself so I could stick it in my classic HeroQuest box. I don't know if anybody else does that. If you open up my HeroQuest Classic box, which I had to make a box for it because of all the stuff that I was putting into it. It would not fit in the regular box, and it wouldn't even fit in the additional, like 3/4 of an inch taller HeroQuest Advanced Quest box. But if you open that up, I've got all of my classic miniatures all separated by color. And then I've got all of the cards for all the expansions. I've got all the books. I've got all the everything, furniture and all. And then I've got 2 classic HeroQuest boards, and then 1 Dragon Quest board, and then the 2 Dragon Strike boards. And those are copies as well. I have original Dragon Strike boards with my Dragon Strike game. Just to break in here real quick, one of the best ways to support the channel is through the Patreon. Not for nothing. I've got all kinds of quests. I've got posts. I've got videos on the back end. There's even a year-long merch loyalty program. Subscribe and you'll get merch every 3 months. You can get this lovely Nilbog mini print, this AshQuest mini print, this amazing AshQuest mug, which has the AshQuest shield on one side and Nilbog in goblin mode on the other. And at the end of the year, a t-shirt commemorating your survival. Thank you for your consideration. Back to the video. This is the Adventure Continues paper, and sometimes I make fun of these D&D games because they're like, let's play a board game, and then you play the board game and they're like, so you liked this, huh? Well, instead of making more of this, what you liked, we invite you to play Dungeons and Dragons itself. Now, this is kind of on its face an introductory version of the famous Dungeons & Dragons role-playing adventure game made by TSR. So, of course, once you've learned the basics of being a dungeon master, which this does try to teach you that skill as well, and it is or can be considered a skill, or playing a hero, you may well want to move on to the slightly more complex D&D game. There are more rules to learn, but they help to make the game even more fun. And by the time you've mastered how to play Dragon Quest, you'll find that you've already been using most of the rules for the D&D game while you've been playing Dragon Quest. Some of them just have slightly different names. Kind of wish they hadn't done that, but they give you specific stuff to go after if you are interested in this. They even go on to explain some of what these are, like the saving throws and morale, experience points, magical spells, range, area of effect, duration, all that good number crunching stuff that you real role players want in your experience at the table. We get the board, which you would think is going to go ahead and separate in the middle by its long side, but it's by the short side, so don't pull on that too hard. And then in a rare show of form, it's an accordion layout. It is an 8-fold board, and it has not 1, not 2, but 3 splits, a 3 board wide seam. It's crazy. Now this is beautiful. The colors are great. They're all kind of pastel. You kind of have to appreciate pastel in order to like this. The viewing angle of the art gives you this sort of, it's not quite isometric. It's not isometric by definition at all. It's just slightly offset. So you get this 3-dimensionality to all the rooms. We have additional elements on the board itself that kind of fill up space. We've got the Dragon Quest logo along with game, like you don't know already. We have the turn sequence chart on not 1, but 2 sides of the board, and it is reversed vertically on the other side, so people who are sitting across from you can see what the turn sequence is as well. And I think that that's a lovely thing to add if indeed you must add a turn sequence chart, because without all of this information, this board could easily be a whole 3 inches shorter and 2 to 3 inches narrower. And that doesn't much matter, but it could have been smaller, it could have been a little cheaper, could have been a little bit tighter of an experience and not take up so much real estate on your table. The awesome thing about this board is that it doesn't have any baked-in features, it doesn't have any doors. All of the quests are laid out with this map as a bare bones, here's what's gonna go down on the table, and then the quest books will tell you where these doors go and how to place the monsters and all of that. And that is just top notch. That is how it should be, and that's why this is one of the greatest things to use for your HeroQuest game. The squares are going to be very small compared to the contemporary game, so I specifically recommend this only for the classic edition of the game, and people do use this for the classic edition of the game. There are several quests out there somewhere where people are using this map as the template, and if you use Hero Scribe, then the basic image of this map is included with one of the map packs that you can get to start putting icons on and making your own stuff. Now, I'm not going to provide any support for Hero Scribe because I don't use Hero Scribe, and I think it's a pain in the butt to get and install and really set up and use. Just use HQuest Builder, find yourself a Dragon Quest map and fit it to the frame, and start using HQuest Builder for all of your needs. Nothing against hero scribe whatsoever. It's a fantastic tool, but if you're wanting to just get up and play and go, yeah, use HQuest Builder. I've had people ask me questions about hero scribe, and it's like, I don't know, just because I run this channel. So you have a lot of rooms on this board. You have a lot of potential for different quests. You could start anywhere you want, really. You could put a staircase tile anywhere, and some of these tiles, they are small enough where you're going to get a little bit of miniature encroachment. So you might be asking, well, what's the scale of miniature that comes with the game then? Oh boy, I'm here to tell you that this is the contents of the entire game right here. I actually don't know if TSR included these lovely boxes, or if this was just something put in here secondhand. We got some cardboard as well, and yeah, I couldn't tell you if this was something that came with the game brand new and was just preserved, or if this was added also by somebody. Oh, you've seen them, you've spotted them. Yes, we've got standees. That's what we've got. And not only do we have standees, we have standees that don't use bases in the traditional sense. These were all flat. These were all flat. They had to be gently punched out and assembled. And for a blessing, it looks like they were very easy to assemble. They did retain their assembled forms extremely well. Isn't that the ugliest kobold you've ever seen in your life? My God. Moving on. All of our doors are like this as well. And that means that they do kind of take up sort of a tile worth of space. So we'll look and see how that's addressed on the map. It may not be addressed at all, which would be bad, because if the door is here and you've got one hero adjacent to one side of the door, they're coming apart. They don't like me touching them. And then one monster adjacent to the other side, you can kind of see how your tiles, you've got a little bit of tile encroachment here, how the tiles could easily get crowded. And as a board game player, I don't like when that possibility exists, but it is what it is. Now, having said that, we do have miniatures. We have miniatures in metal as well as plastic. Why? I don't know. Don't ask me questions. Because this is a special edition of the game, and I want to say that the metal miniatures outshine the plastics in just about every single way. They are fantastically sculpted. The plastics are using what look like a completely different dye, which, I mean, obviously they are, because they're injection molded versus how these are cast. But yeah, it's just a different design altogether. It's like they really tried to just emulate the details with their plastic mold, or maybe they tried first with the plastic and then enhanced with the metal, which I'm sure is lead, and I'm gonna have to wash my hands very thoroughly after all of this. I'm actually not sure, but I don't want to take the chances. Here we have our axe wielding dude with one of the most awesome helmets I've ever seen sculpted in metal. His axe looks great. Everything on him looks great. I said axe. I said his axe looks great, all right? Calm down. Now, I said these guys outshine their plastic counterparts in every way, but like Axe Dude wants to fall over. He wants to fall over so bad, and he does 4 out of 5 times fall over. So he's going to require a little bit of gentle reshaping at the base variety. We, of course, get our standard set of Dungeons & Dragons dice, and since this is a pretty predictable thing, I'm not going to show you these any more than I already have. We'll go over the standees just as soon as we are done exploring these lovely miniatures. It looks like I'm actually missing my assassin. I don't have a 7th plastic miniature for my thief or rogue or assassin or whatever this guy is. He doesn't have a name stamped into the base. But he's got his cloak and he's got his dagger, and he is a heroic scale. I would argue definitely not 28. I would say at most 25. So these guys are not going to be 100% compatible with your HeroQuest. They're just a little bit too tiny. They will look puny. Having said that, the cleric looks like it could be a halfling in the 28mm universe. So I guess you could do that, but I would say paint the metal one and bring the metal one in rather than use the plastic. The plastic isn't even a good enough quality to put in your HeroQuest games, and that might be brutal, but it is what it is. I said what I said. The metal cleric looks great. Looks fine. There are just some details that we were able to get in metal back then that just for some reason you could not get anywhere else. The dwarf exists, and that's kind of all I have to say. He doesn't even have a head on the plastic one. It's just beard. It's a helmet with beard coming out. And that's fine. A lot of dwarves are just that way. Some of the finest dwarves are just helmets with beards coming out. But again, the metal one, really cool. Every detail in the chainmail armor standing out beautifully. This is a dwarf I'd be proud to throw down on any table. Finally, we have, oh boy, it's not a fair comparison. This is you, and this is the guy she told you not to worry about. Straps across the chest. Everything is so much better on the metal. God, I'm just a broken record at this point, but look at the leg armor. That's non-existent on the old one. His armor skipped leg day on the plastic. Folds in the cape, super lovely. Buckler, sword, offhand sword. Wonder what that is. A small sword? And then like you can even push him back and he'll kind of sit on his cape instead of fall over. So he's got built-in fall protection. Love it. The distinct smell of metal is now abound in my room. Let's see what kind of standees we've got with this thing. We won't go over these too much because while the art is definitely legible, it is super small and you're not going to be able to see that well from up here. While this is down the table, we've got Blue Dragon, which is so sadly too small for anything. We've got Bugbear, who looks like a football player, looks like Charge and Chuck without his helmet. We've got Minotaur, and yeah, I did a deep dive, and it's valid to say it that way. No, it's like a Tauros from the city of Minos, don't you know? Yeah, I know. I did a 30-second cursory Google search too. Lizard Man. I actually love the Lizard Man. He's crazy. He's such a little creep. Smash him with the mace. I want to say that armor golem, which is a suit of armor, the rears having just like the shades to give you that potential for another form. Like, okay, if it's shaded, you don't see him, or he doesn't see you rather. So you have to roll for a type of advantage or disadvantage. Actually really like that. They didn't have to do that. They could have just repeated the image, but they put black on one side to give you more gameplay options. The doors all look like this. They're the same on both sides. Then we have a couple of named characters like Arin, the ice golem, the dire wolf. These guys are falling apart, man. The orc and the ghoul. The orc. There you go. We've got skeletons, and we've got multiples of so many of these. I could store these flat, but I mean, there's just no way. It's not like practical enough. I don't care. Might as well keep them formed because everything fits in the box just fine. I'm not going to add anything additional to this box. At least I don't think I am. I might one day. Now, we've talked about using these different maps in HeroQuest, the Dragon Quest map in HeroQuest, the Dragon Strike map in HeroQuest, Dragon Strike being another great TSR property with stuff that's kind of similar in terms of scale and detail on the boards, but in a variety of other biomes like the town biome and the cave biome, you know, distinctly biomes as they are defined. That was a joke, my goodness. But has anybody ever talked about using this board in Dragon Strike? Because this would be an awesome Dragon Strike board, and it doesn't have any baked in doors. So yeah, I think a board that does not use baked in features is always better. The exception to this is the boot tile from HeroQuest, and any room that has bones in it, you can have some bones littered about the whole dungeon or cave or whatever. That's fine. That should be pretty commonplace in your fantasy world. Just bones everywhere. Too many bones, in fact. But like, no trenches of lava, no water. Now, don't let me dictate what you do and don't do. You do whatever it is that makes the experience the best for you. I can be right here in my chair in my room behind my camera, and I can be a total hater, but I'm not really going to affect what you're doing. You do the things that make you happy at your table. I would urge you to do the things that make the players at your table, the other players, happy as well, but you can also kind of just do what you want to do there too. Make them miserable if that's what makes you happy. And I'll tell you what, some people like being miserable, so you might be onto something there too. We have a lot of different decks of cards that come with this. It's not overwhelming at all. I only have 8 decks, and one of them appears to be the characters that you get to create. Maybe the friends we made along the way were the characters you created, you know? I really wish this would have had like some stuff filled in. It would have been really cool to see what other people had been doing with their game at the time. I don't like feeling like I was sold something sterile and unplayed. I want to see the life that the game had, you know? Okay, and then we go on to the entity cards, which they don't really have like their own name on the card. So once we get into the rulebook, maybe we'll get the name, but I'm not worried about it right now. This is the Cyclops, the skeleton, beautiful art, the giant bat, the gold dragon, the hobgoblin, and these cards are going to have on the reverse side the Dragon Quest, just to remind you what game you're playing, the name of the monster, the hobgoblin in this case, its fighting score, its attacks, its damage, its armor class, its hit points, its alignment, and its move. And then you get this nice flavor text describing what the monster is. So the hobgoblin has a fighting of 19. It attacks with 1 spear. It uses 1d6 for damage. Its armor class is 6. It has 6 hit points. It is evil alignment, and it moves 3 spaces. And hobgoblins are large cousins of goblins. They are just as cruel and evil, but they are not as cowardly as goblins are. Hobgoblins usually live underground, but they come to the surface to hunt for food. I don't like the TSR depiction of the hobgoblin as much as I like the Games Workshop one and a lot of other hobgoblins in different fantasy media. I tend to like the designs. I don't like this one, though, for some reason. I don't know why. Not being negative, it's just, I'm just stating my preference. Here's our armor golem. It looks so much cooler on the card art than his miniature. The werebear, the fire giant, the green dragon, the ghoul. Yeah, all of these guys look so much cooler on their card art, which is just, again, an observation. The orc, I prefer my orc's green, but it's okay. The gnoll, the owlbear, the troll, the giant viper, the shadow, the giant lizard. This is Stegosaurus, man. The mummy. The mummy looks really cool. The giant rat. I love him. He can be my pet. The wood golem. The what? The wood golem? What the heck is a... So you're made of wood? Wood golems are crude, man-like figures that are carved from wood. It's like mannequins. Okay, they look a little bit like big scarecrows. They are often used by wizards to guard an important place or treasure. Wood golems are not harmed by any kind of bow or crossbow attack. And this is where the twist wood spell would really come in handy. Direwolf, the red dragon, who he lifts for sure, does not skip ab day. The ogre, the smilodon, right, of course, the gargoyle, the giant scorpion, art takes a turn with that one, the wyvern, the chimera, love that, the hill giant, the death hound, the black dragon, the goblin. This is what the goblins look like in 92. Oh, I'm so glad they evolved past that. They often work for more powerful monsters like bugbears, hobgoblins, or gnolls. Right, the lizard man. This one is carrying a victim in its arms. Or maybe not a victim. Maybe she's willing to go. She's like, I like lizards. Giant spider. Ice golem. This was the one they chose for the giant spider. I can think of way more terrifying looking spiders than that, but that's okay. The stone giant, the frost giant, the white, the blue dragon, the were-rat, the griffin, the zombie. Love this one. It's pirate coded. It was a sailor. The giant fire beetle. Never heard of that one. The bugbear. This one's on horseback. The harpy, and she's lovely. Yeah, big harpy fan here. The werewolf, who is in the middle of transforming, or maybe he has totally transformed. And these werewolves are very fortunate that they don't burst through all their clothes. The wraith. He looks super cool. Love the wraith. The minotaur. I'm not getting into that again with you. The white dragon. All of these. So nice to have. So very cool to have these. Moving on to the named characters. These are first level, different kinds of, I would imagine, pre-baked characters that you can choose from, so you don't have to make your own if you're not comfortable with that yet, or just while you're getting into how to play the game. But you have the name of the character, their class, and what level they are. They're all going to be first level. Their strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma, their armor class, hit points, fighting, and movement. Advantages that they have, such as Andreas van der Slyke here, who is a first-level neutral warrior. He can use large weapons. His equipment consists of a leather armor, a sword, a dagger, a shield, a longbow, and a satchel. And he's a monster hunter. So that would be this feller right here. Okay. I'm wondering which one he was. Well, actually, there's more cards here than there were miniatures to represent them, so I guess they wouldn't have to be technically any of them specifically. Just pick the one that matches the best. This is Phoenix the dwarf, a neutral dwarf. This is Nolan, or perhaps Canolan, a cleric of all things. This is Mikal, and he is a fighter. He's a good fighter, it says. He's a gee guy, you don't have to brag. I'm a good fighter. Maybe that's a title that people give to you rather than one you claim. This is Auron. He is a neutral wizard. This is Dasmius. And Dasmius is a first level good cleric. This is Dogkin Penrose. We've got fur on the foot, so I can only assume this is meant to be a halfling. Yep, neutral halfling. Everybody was putting fur on the feet of the halflings. Wonder why. This is Honus. a rogue. And then finally you have Glorin, and Glorin is a good elf. I'm a good elf. Well, I don't know what, if you're a good elf, I'd hate to know what a bad elf is like. Next up, we've got equipment, and this goes basically dagger, satchel, leather armor, mace, sword, longbow, battle axe. And we're looking at these not because warhammer, spear, necessarily I want to plate mail armor, shield, show you all of the like different items and equipment, two-handed sword, club, but I really want to backpack, Greek fire vial, what? Short sword, show you the beautiful short bow, art, hammer and spikes on every one of these, vial of blessed water cards, because sling, this is so nice, and vial of blessed water, coil of rope, and I just want to give it crossbow, the appreciation, chainmail armor, pole arm that it deserves, grappling hook, pouch belt, broad axe, darts, hand axe. The equipment card have size, damage, and range, as well as some flavor text, and of course the name, or it will be an armor class, in this case 7 for the leather armor. And if it's just an item that doesn't have either of these things, then you'll get instructions on how to use it. Like the satchel, which is a leather, canvas, or cloth pouch with a long strap that's worn over the shoulder. A hero with the satchel can carry 2 extra item cards. Okay, next up, it looks like we've got features, I'm going to say, things that are in the room. We have dead zone, ancient shrine, strange statue, treasure chest, strange writing, swirling lights, pile of debris, crystal ball, fountain, and large gong. So yeah, these are basically events, I guess, actually. So you get into the room, and then it's like the walls of this room are covered with the strange letters of an ancient language. If one of the heroes tries to read the writing, a magical spell goes off. We've got a trap in that one. Swirling lights gives you 1d6 to roll and then follow the instructions. That's what a lot of these are. The dead zone. This room has been hit by a powerful curse. No magical spells will work in here. If any hero tries to use a spell, it has no effect and the card is lost. Okay, next up, we've got some treasures. The ogre gauntlets. Kumakawa. Wait a minute, is that the sword? It's a suit of leather armor fashioned from the hide of an owlbear. Caduceus. Elven chainmail. The hawk bow. Sometimes you gotta draw, knock, and aim that thing. The crossbow of Klee. The dwarven helmet. The Flynn's ring of fire. The elven cloak. The bag of gold. The jewelry. The jewelry. The small treasure chest. The motobua. The eagle bow. The shield ring. Golden statue. Kur's drink, storm hammer, the elven sword, the lightning rod, the Cian ring, Finnegan's sling, the dwarven plate armor, the dragon scale, which is a shield, hummingbird nectar, small diamond, dragon's blood, large treasure chest, large gem, Skane's satchel, and dragon fang. So kind of wondering if this art is reused from different modules of the game, because it's got to be sourced some kind of practical way, right? I went back so I could look at Saurian's ring, because I want to know what on earth is your... Yeah, the plain and featureless golden ring was created by lizardmen long ago. The ancient secret magic they used to create it has been long forgotten, blah, blah, blah. Anyone who puts this ring on will turn invisible. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep, invisible. Put on the ring, become invisible. We're going to look at the next set of cards, which look to be spells, and look at that. Coincidentally, invisibility, then sleep. Oh, they all have the same art. So lightning bolt, detect magic, haste, fear, cure, antidote, hold, charm, magic missile, wall of fog. All the art's the same, although some of these look to be a little bit more sun faded than others. The spell cards have the name of the spell, the type, and the range. Type giving you who can use this: wizard and elf, cleric. It looks like that's all the types of spells this comes with. We don't have like warlock. No, it's all wizard, elf, or cleric. It's either wizard and elf, or it's cleric. And then for range, we have touch, 6 spaces, room. I like that. I like the distinctive ranges. And then the instructions on what to do, how to use this spell, in what situation is it appropriate. Next up, we have... I'm going to say these are traps. Yeah, obviously. Blinding flash, poison gas, the pit, just pit, stream of acid, explosion, dart, dead fall, alarm, spring blade, and Greek fire. And they have an ability check, what damage they cause, and then of course the instructions again. So ability checks can be like dexterity. The damage is 1d6. So this doesn't necessarily say how to check the dexterity, so that must be a baked-in rule for this game system, but a large block of stone drops down from the ceiling over the heroes. Whoever set off the trap must make an ability check on his dexterity. If he succeeds, he has dived out of the way of the falling stone. If he fails, he's caught beneath the stone and takes 1d6 points of damage. It's worth studying the traps because I'm fascinated by the different ways the different games handle traps in these board games. Okay, I would like to look now at the rule book, and we'll look briefly. And the actual rule book cover does not seem to be physically attached. And I don't know if that's because it's a baked-in screen or just something that you can take off and use as a reference really fast. I like that, though. I think that that's really cool. The rest of this is stapled together. Yeah, here are the rest of the people who are in the credits. Everybody did a fantastic job on this, it looks. Interior art by Brom, and that makes sense. Yeah, all of this is very, very Brom. Well, not all of it. I mean, obviously, there's a whole list of names here, but there's definitely some Brom in here. Brom still does fantastic art, dedicated to the folks at TSR Limited in the United Kingdom who know how to put on a great convention. Man, I would have loved to have gone to a TSR convention. Maybe we can all find a bunch of people who would have gone to a TSR convention, and we can find some other people who would have presented at a TSR convention, and we can create an event where we all come together and we do a TSR convention, and we act like all this stuff is new, that we're introducing it for the first time and talking about how exciting it is and how you can get your people together, and we just have no reference to the current timeline outside of the building in which we host the convention. I would be so down for that. I wasn't part of that, but I absolutely would have gone to one, like without a doubt. The adventure begins, and what a fantastic beginning image to land on when you open up this page. Basically giving you a narrative, an introduction to the Dragon Quest adventure game. What is it? How does it work? Here are the game components. You have each of your different face dice colored so it can refer to the blue die instead of, the 1d8 and get you used to the different dice shape and styles. She is lovely. Absolutely. So pretty. And then we've got just a bunch of other fantastic looking characters. This blue dragon, he's attacked a village and raided a dispensary, I would venture to guess. And then you've got this big bad in the back who looks very threatening, but my eye just keeps going to this. Is she an elf? What kind of elf? It's not often that an elf catches my eye. Explaining ability scores, fighting, move, alignment, hit points, strength, spell cards, this wonderful looking, I would say, orc, the 5 Shires, Rockholm, the Broken Lands. It might be a goblin. That might be a goblin, actually. The orc that I saw was bearded. Looked quite different. That guy looks a little squatty. Size, damage. We just continue to get great picture after great picture. It kind of reminds me of the Ape Man from Conan. Evil human classes, demi-human classes, fighters, wizards, and clerics. Elves, dwarves, and halflings, the classic classism of the races. What do you do for a living? I'm a police officer. I'm a doctor. I'm an Australian. And those are valid natural choices. So you can pick spells, the number of which can be equal to your level, plus your intelligence, of which I have none. Picking a dungeon master, setting the stage, laying out the board, picking a hero, starting the game, the first room, placing the heroes. We go, I've seen this art. I don't remember where. I have seen this specific picture somewhere. Somewhere I have seen this face and this face, and it was not in this book, and I cannot recall where it would have been. This is from Parkinson. So that'd be Keith Parkinson. So I'll have to look up and see where I've seen that, because that is unlocking some core memories. Wandering monster checks, checking for surprise, hero reactions, talking. If the heroes try to talk to the monster, the DM can resolve the situation in much the same way that he does if they wait around. If the DM is unsure how the monster will react, he can always use the monster reaction table. Hiding, rolling for initiative. Yes. And one of my favorite sayings, onward heroes. The heroes may want to keep exploring the room they're in or move on to the next. Ask them what they want to do, then go back to step 1. It's got kind of a long and drawn-out process between rooms. Moving up in the world, the more hero adventures, the more experience he gains. Fighters learn more about swinging the sword. Clerics and wizards learn more spells. When a hero advances to the next experience level, his fighting number goes down by 1, making it easier to hit monsters. This reflects the hero's growing combat skills. Since the hero has learned a lot about defending himself from attack, he should be harder to kill with each added experience level. To reflect this idea in the game, we give the heroes more hit points. Spellcasters grow more skilled at their crafts, too. All wizards, clerics, and elves may carry another spell. Don't forget the bonus spells that come from high intelligence or wisdom scores. And then, of course, people who have different levels can all venture together, and the dynamic now changes to figuring out how you keep the lower level people from dying, and that's just part of the dynamic. Practice makes perfect. Being a good GM, this is some fundamental stuff that I think is worth reading, kind of no matter what game you're playing. If you're running the game, if the dice start to ruin the game, don't use them. Just roll the dice behind the DM screen and pretend that the result you want has come up. The players will never know. It's okay to make a few decisions without using the dice, especially if it means saving a player's hero from a horrible death or prevents a game from falling apart. Remember, you're in charge and it's your job to see that everyone has fun. Defeat and utter failure aren't fun. Play your character, share what you find, be a hero, don't be mad. Sometimes you just can't get a good die roll when you really need it. And when that happens, roleplay it out. I didn't get a good night's sleep last night, and it sure makes it tough to fight. You get your another personal use copyable page with all your stuff, your character chart, basically. And yeah, weapons chart, monster reaction table, which monsters can react in the way of help, wait, or attack. Then we'll move on to the adventure book, which has 4 maps in its detachable cover: the Jaws of Flame, a Call to Glory, the Eisenmond Blade, and a blank map. The Spider's Bite is the tale that we read to introduce ourselves to the adventure book, as well as a how to use this book, being prepared, monsters, 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 keeping the fun going, now what happens, exploring the dungeon, too many monsters, ending the adventure. A Call to Glory gives us our first quest and basically mirrors the map in the jacket, while giving us details for every single room on the board. The Start Here room is here, obviously, followed by our first corridor, which is A. A is a tunnel. You get a narrative to read, you get stuff to set up, and you get instructions on what to do if the rules call for a wandering monster at this point. It will come from room B, for example. Place the stand up for the monster inside the door to that room and announce that he has just stepped into the tunnel. Continue with the turn sequence until any battles are finished and the heroes finished exploring the area. And it kind of goes on like that with this corridor running across these 4 rooms, kind of serving as a way to peek into each of these rooms. And you could do this for a number of situations. You could have this section of the board be for jails. You could have it be an inn. You could have it be a tavern connected to an inn. That would be a little bit clumsy and it would be very small, but it would be serviceable, especially for halflings or goblins. Orc Lair, Jagged Cavern, all of the rooms in this quest have their own names. The Iron Mine, the Story Room, Broken Room, Sloping Passage, and then you have instructions on what to do to end the adventure. Next up is the Eisenmond Blade. We have much the same. This time our map is on the second page, showing us where to begin. And I'm interested in the A room with the X's, so let's read the note for that, which is actually on the page before. It's a little bit of a design gaffe. That's the dining room. When they enter that, you place a stand-up door at the entrance to area B. Continue to do this each time the heroes enter a new area. Don't wait for the adventure book to tell you to do it. I like that. The bodies in the middle of the room are actually zombies. Any hero who does anything to disturb their resting place will cause them to rise and attack. Then they will appear on the spaces marked X on the DM map. That way the heroes won't realize what they've done until it's too late. Let's go the reverse direction and let's read an entry, the Spider Pit, and then we'll find out where it is on the board. The slide dumps you into a roughly dug chamber beneath the castle. The floor is knee-deep in some bitter, evil-smelling black slime. The air smells like rotten eggs. In the center of the room, a large black spider rises up from the sludge. Its eyes gleam and sparkle like jewels, and its jaws drip with poison that hisses when it hits the black liquid below. A more horrible monster than this world would be hard to imagine. Place the giant spider stand-up, which is this big, on the space marked with an X on the DM map, and it will attack the heroes right away. And if it's defeated, the heroes can search the slime and find 2 treasures, and that's going to be the Spider Pit, which is D, and that's over here in the corner, which means it is optional. We have some more adventures here through the Jaws of Flame, and we actually do get some lava. We don't have any sort of rooms to kind of show you where the lava is on the board. No overlays, no lava markers or tokens, anything like that. It's very interesting to me. We don't have any instructions on how to represent this lava, so I guess basically you'll have to be like, the lava's here, or you'll have to use your own proxies. At the end of the Eisenmond Blade, you are finished playing Dragon Quest. Yeah, it's just 3 quests. They are very involved quests, and they are full of narrative, so I think that there's a lot in the quest book for a HeroQuest quest designer to definitely read and learn about how to design an immersive quest that doesn't use every room on the board and doesn't have to have a crapload of details in order to have this commanding player experience that's immersive. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying. I've played a lot of homebrew quests, and a lot of them want to pack as much as possible into, well, that could be because I run events wherein you must only submit 1 page. So that kind of tracks, actually. And that is Dragon Quest. With the contents out of the box, we can finally look at the back of the box and see the same 3 kids, and actually we've got a girl playing this time also, which is fantastic representation and says, hey, maybe your sister wants to come in and play sometimes too. Teach her the joys of role-playing, and maybe she'll grow up to design the next Mage of the Mirror. Oh man, there was a special free Dragon Quest t-shirt offer. Oh, I bet it's too late to get that turned in. Brave Heroes, you'll have to let me know if you did ever end up playing Dragon Quest in your youth. And if so, what was that like? I would love to know your experiences on this subject. As always, I thank you very kindly for your awesome attention. And I hope to see you around if you're new to the channel in this Season 3 of Ash Quest. Until next time, Brave Heroes, have a fantastic rest of the journey, and bye for now.